PRX lost in their rematch with NRG, and they did so playing a bit of a strange comp here on Bind. Now, this might look like a pretty normal comp apart from the Harbor for a Viper if this was 2024, but it's 2026, and so playing Gecko is a bit weird. Obviously, you got the new Harbor and the new buffed Gecko actually in this comp. Solo Raze, this is obviously not really what we're used to in this day and age. And PRX, particularly on their defense side, I think struggled after winning the pistol in round 4, the first full gun round, gives us an indication of that. Because you see, in this round, what you're going to get is PRX, essentially, if we take a look at the map, they're just going to play what looks like a very standard round of Bind defense. You got 3 people over towards B, 2 people towards A. They're pretty passive here, right? They're not really doing anything too aggressive or anything like that. Matt is able to walk in towards Shower here for free. You know, they're now looking for information. They're skydogging. NRG are just playing slow, playing their game. And eventually, they're now just going to group up and come over towards A with the shower control that they've already got. Harbor Wall comes up in their face. And you see that it takes really until this point 50 seconds for PRX here with the Sky Flash and double swing out. Really, this is the first time they do anything that's like actually, you know, aggressive and looking for a fight. And that is a problem for PRX right now, as you will see, because they're about to get exec'd on and it ends up looking pretty easy here for NRG.
My question, Forsaken gonna get grabbed up, tucks back away, Kiko up and over the truck. Saw where the paint shell comes from, but still is able to plant his feet, and Forsaken none the wiser. Ends up getting taken down as Rocket's gonna be exchanged, but it's Jing coming out on top in that regard, but Ethan is there.
So you actually might have caught that at the start, but Forsaken here gets hit by the C's, right? So he can't hear what's going on and like where Kiko is and you know what he's doing. So that's why he ends up looking so clueless here as Kiko is actually coming in behind him. And then you know, we get Matter coming in from Shower as well, managing to get this kill on Envy, and then they're able to find the kill on Jing as he's blast packing up there just before he razzled. So we end up in this 4v2 and they're going to convert this round. But the problem for PRX here to me just comes earlier in the round, right? I mentioned it about them just being passive, right? Being in like this position, like 110 in the round, you've done nothing. They've walked in Shower here, you know, everyone's just kind of huddled back. You're not doing anything at all proactive here. That is a real problem when you're playing this comp, right? When you are playing this comp, you can't really afford to play like that. It doesn't work with this comp, right? If you think about like how much stopping power you have, you know, to keep them out of these execs, it's like, okay, you've got a Brim Molly, that's good, and the Brim smokes, they're good, right? So Brim, we can give a tick to, but like Gecko, if you don't time this mosh pit perfectly, not great. Sky, not great, right? Harbor, again, if you don't time things perfectly, not great. Jing, again, if you don't time this raise nade perfectly, not great. Right, so it requires either being very, very good with your timing, or essentially you're going to struggle. And particularly with a comp like this, we saw if PRX are going to play in that kind of very static way, they were going to struggle. And so PRX took a timeout after this round, and straight away, Alex was like, guys, what the hell are you doing? Do this instead.
Again, I'm gonna try to just push out. No, it's not a contest for the orb. It's just Jing being sent forward. He's looking for the catch here on the Scuba, takes him low. Lobs out the paint shell, but he's able to back away, surviving with just 30 HP.
So yeah, this doesn't actually end up in a kill, but it's a good example of like the things that, you know, you would expect PRX to be doing with this comp, right? Triple stack of players here, Jing blast backing forward, a Harbor Cove there with the shield up as well. You know, multiple flashes coming at you with the Sky Flash and the Dizzy here. You know, this is what you're expecting. Okay, it doesn't quite end up landing in a kill, but this is the kind of thing that you would expect PRX to be doing. Now, at this point, they decide to leave. And I just want you to remember that, like, they end up having to kind of leave here and all retreating, right? Because that will come up later in the video as well, because they end up doing this quite a lot in this game, and we'll talk about it in a future round. But now you're going to see, as we kind of enter the second wave of this round, they still got the 4-stack here and just the Harbor on his own, so Forsaken goes for this wall here to keep them out. But now you're going to see Devi again try and get proactive.
Devi this time wants to re-clear.
Trailblazer with a chase out, the blast back forward, and Kiko looking for the kill, but Devi able to hold his own. Pop flash forward, a glimpse there, and actually catches Scuba there behind Brock, who's still far forward, but Devi maintains his composure. And oh,
Obviously, this is a crazy good play by Deviant. He basically, wins them the round on his own. But I think it does illustrate the kind of mindset that you need to be in if you are PRX playing this comp. You got to be willing in these kind of intermediate spaces. You got to be willing to do stuff like this and take those fights and trust yourself. You're gonna win those fights. Of course, we see that a lot in the current meta that we're in, right? And the round at this point is completely over. So after that timeout, you're like, okay, PRX, they know what they're doing now. They shall be fine, right? Well, no, they were not fine. And let me show you round number 7 to kind of show you some of the reasons why.
they're managing it pretty damn well as something's just still swinging out. He's fully blinded up. Mana will get tagged, but the kill cannot be found.
You're giving up all along B.
They're going to try to go on a double push. And Indy will be able to come out with the kill. Flash connecting, knows there's a couple players contained there at market, but it's going to be Ethan and Brock.
So there's a couple of things that we need to talk about in this round and how they get themselves into a bad spot in this round, PRX. The first one that we need to talk about, obviously, is this kill on something, and this in general, I think, is a big reason, or one of the reasons that I think that they failed on this defense side, is the agent that this guy's playing. Because I'm sure a lot of you will think, well, it's something. Could you not just change this for a Yoru? Would that not just work? And just keep everything else the same if you want to. Yoru has a decent synergy here with the Harbor as well in terms of TPing into coves and the near sights and the blinds and stuff like that. People being deafened. Would that not work? And I think absolutely, because this is another spot, of course, where if he's playing Yoru, he doesn't die here because he just TPs away, right? Obviously, if he's full blind like this, he's not going to stick around. He TPs away and they live. And the other thing that the Yoru would give them that we see later on in the round as well, the other thing that PRX really struggled with is as NRG are holding these defaults after this initial fight, which again they often did, PRX I feel like struggled with knowing when to kind of call it a day, right? Because a lot of teams in this spot 5v4, when they get this kill on Envy here, they would say, okay, well it's a 4v4, we're good now. But PRX, I feel like, maybe because of the time Alex told them, like, you've got to be aggressive, perhaps felt like they had to keep being aggressive. Right, when they didn't necessarily have all of the right tools necessarily to be aggressive in those spots, because this kind of fight happened a lot, right? This kind of fight with this kind of secondary layered fight happened a lot, and NRG won quite a lot of them, right? And obviously it ends up kind of costing them rounds. But the thing about Yoru as well is if you are going to play this style, where you are going to group up and be aggressive somewhere, if someone's there and it goes badly, Yoru's great because he can just TP out of danger. But also, if there's no one there, Yoru is also great because Yoru can stick around, right? And just give you that information of like, did they come back? Do we just have this space now for free, right? In which case people can rotate, right? And again, if they do come back to Yoru at any point, oh, I can TP out, right? Yoru fits this playstyle that PRX wanted to do with the rest of their comp so well. And obviously Yoru is just very strong in general. I'm not, breaking news there. And I do think that that's something that they were missing because they were going for these explorations a lot. And if no one was there, it's like, oh, we all fully leave and go to the next place and try and fully explore it. But then you lose this space. And NRG were playing at a pace, like we see in this round and like many rounds that NRG played. They were playing at a slow pace, right? They were not rushing into things. They were waiting for PRX to do stuff, essentially, knowing that they kind of had to. Because they have the advantage of, like, if you are just going to be passive, we can beat that, right? We know we can beat that with our comp and with our playstyle and because we're a good team. And so you ended up in a lot of these kind of situations. Now, funnily enough, 4v2, despite the fact you're going to see some Forsaken actually does have a chance here to still win the round.
Forsaken now tucked away just underneath this hookah exit. Mana will jump down. He's going to try to play this patiently. Finds it. Transfer. No! Ethan turns back!
And I do think as well, when it came to something on this Yoru, we know that something generally likes to be pretty vocal. And I can imagine that if he was on Yoru, it would be much easier for him to be vocal and say, this is what I want to do. And the rest of the team can form a plan around that when you're playing Yoru, right? But when he's on a Gecko, it's like, he's not going to be the one that the plan is formulated around, right? It's going to be Jing instead. And so I think it left them perhaps in a bit of a confused state. If we take a look at round number 9, we'll see again, like, this is kind of the next full buy round after that one. And they've reverted back to like just being very static, right? And playing very passive. And again, you think like, oh, they don't know what they want to be in this comp. It felt like they don't know exactly how they want to, you know, approach all of these rounds. You see, they do go for a bit of a reclear there back into Hooker, but very quickly it's, you know, snuffed out by NRG again, who again did a great job, as we've seen in multiple of these rounds. NRG doing a very good job of kind of catching that aggression, punishing that aggression from PRX. But it just felt like that there wasn't enough layers to this. There wasn't enough surprise factor maybe with the Harbor. There wasn't enough unique things that they were doing to kind of, you know, create problems. And we ended up in, you know, this kind of spot 51 seconds in the round. And you look at it, it's like, oh, well, you know, there's not much going on here. And again, because maybe of the comp that they were playing and because they're playing against NRG, who are playing double duelist this time, if we ended up in a round like this, PRX couldn't actually then stop their execs.
Prowler spotting Jing up over top of the truck. Stray shots, not finding much of a connection as it will be the dimensional drift out from Mata. Scouting forward, the Reckoning going to be sent. Forsaken trying to slow up the rest of the team. Deny them from being able to play off this information that Mata is gathering. Rotates around towards the defender side, and now PRX have to have their heads on a swivel. They are two-man hunting, trying to find this Yoru, but he still has the operator in hand as Forsaken gets the bad news. Just a little bit of minor damage. Orbital strike called in, trying to delay, deny the plant from going over. The peak coming in. Jing again, able to avoid getting caught by that, but then Brock is there on the flank, shuts him down. Inby's gone.
10 seconds left.
And once again, PRX cannot.
So I think this is absolutely terrific by Mata in the way he plays this situation, because in this particular round, PRX do have the stall, or they think they have the stall, because you got Harbor, you've got Brimmel, right? So obviously this Harbor comes in, yeah, no one's running past that. And that means that Mata here, you know, he's finding where these players are, but he realizes, well, my team can't really do anything. So he comes up with a very interesting plan here of just, well, I'll just run into heaven, I guess. And it turns out, again, this Yoru agent is pretty good. And now he just creates problems for them of now multiple people are coming back to look at him, creating even more space, again, for the rest of his team to finally maybe make their way over towards him. And obviously doing this with an op, kind of crazy, gets a good kill, and now just survives here, just does a really good job of just surviving here for a really long time. I mean, look, Jing's having to just look behind him the whole time and ends up dying to people who eventually just peek through, you know, coming through U-hole there. Right, so Mata does an incredible job in this round and like realizing how to get out of that spot, you know, with his Yoru ult. So it is terrific by NRG, because a lot of teams, you know, wouldn't have the thought to do this, right, and manage to pull it off so well like NRG did. But again, it just felt like PRX didn't quite know how to deal with perhaps such a disciplined and well kind of organized team like NRG on that defense side.